Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Linda Armstrong here. Today is Friday, September the 14th, 2018, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Your second daily dose of happy for this day. And the last of this Monday through Friday week, but that's okay. We pick up another one next Monday. That's good. And we get one over the weekend too. But these are our twice daily opportunities to help you get into that really happy, positive frame of mind. And you especially want to do that going into the weekend, right, Linda? Because you got to have that high energy to go in and get the big energy and have a great weekend and build yourself up and be ready for next week, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, this morning, Tom Wells and I were talking about a number of things, but one of the things we talked about was the placebo effect and the mind-body effect and how there is a tremendous amount of research that is just being done recently by people who are not necessarily in the mainstream of science. They're kind of on the edges in terms of the way the mainstream sees it, but they're doing really interesting and exciting work. People like, Dr. Joe Dispenza and so forth, who are, just really leading the charge, so to speak. And then I saw that you had posted something about how you healed your rotator cuff in a YouTube video. And I thought, well, geez, that ought to be a good continuation for the morning podcast. So I was thinking, why don't we just continue the subject, the healing and using the law of attraction and deliberate creation to heal yourself, because that's something that a lot of people can use in a lot of different ways. I've done it myself, actually. And in fact, we can share some stories along the way.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So, all right. Do you feel like kicking it off and, telling the story, how you healed your rotator cuff?
Sure. Well, basically, so it came to me through a bunch of different ways, but I don't have to really go into that. What I'll share is that basically I healed it by sending the energy of love right to my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Now, I guess I have to say a little bit, and I might have shared it before, possibly, about how I got this. I received this message that I can heal myself.
Yeah.
And it kind of, this is before I even knew I had that kind of a connection where I can hear, guides. And,
which you've shown me that you have very well, by the way. You're really good at it.
Well, it's developed over time, but this is like right in the beginning of all of this. And it kicked off my whole journey to being a healer, is actually healing myself. But even when I did that and I had this experience of healing myself, I still was just doing, but I was only doing law of attraction coaching. I wasn't doing anything with healing for other people or anything like that. So I somehow received this message, and I think I had, I contacted like 2 people that I knew of that were in the spirituality realm and asked them, you think this is possible, that you could actually heal yourself? I kind of got this message, and both of them were like, well, I'm not I guess I have to give the disclaimer, right? I'm not a doctor. I can't really say for sure, but yeah, of course, especially if you receive that message, it's your soul's letting you know that you can do something other than what you were planning, because I was planning to have the surgery. And so I think for me, just getting some kind of confirmation from 2 people like in the flesh,
it helps,
who understand a little bit more of this whole thing with even receiving messages, because it was very new to me.
Yeah, sure.
When I received this message. So that little bit of confirmation kind of gave me this thinking like, well, okay, maybe this is possible. So it kind of opened the door a little bit. And I had been enrolled in this meditation course. We were on a break for Christmas, and it was at a Christmas party when people who've had this surgery were telling me the misery of it, because I said I was finally going to do the surgery in January. While I'm listening to them talk about what they went through in their recovery, that's when I received the message that I could heal myself. And then when it came time January to get back to the course, that was this Awakening Your Light Body course, the first thing we did that whole month was on self-healing.
Oh, nice.
So I'm thinking, all right, this is all just lining up. This can't be a coincidence. There must be something to this.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. When you get that many signals in a row.
Right. And I guess maybe I had to have it come to me that way for me to know it wasn't just me kind of thinking I could do something, because it was coming from in my mind outside of me at the time, although everything does come from within.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That's a little bit deeper. So, yeah. And then that's it. Within 2 months, I healed myself. And basically, all really that these meditations did was have you connect to this energy, this feeling of the energy of love, whatever that is for you.
Okay.
And so I would take that feeling, like I could feel a feeling that I considered to be love. And then I would imagine holding that same feeling, that same energy, and having that be placed into my shoulder. So that's what I did. And ever since then, I work with people in that manner. I mean, even little kids that would come to my meditation courses, because I used to do a kids meditation. Kids they just go with this stuff. It's so easy for them. I taught them how to bring energy and healing energy into their hands and to put it on their belly if they have a stomach ache and stuff. So they start doing this and it works for them. They have no question that it's not going to work. They haven't been biased against.
Yeah, they don't have the resistance built up. So without the resistance, it just flows.
Yeah, there's no resistance because they hadn't, they're young, like we're talking, 7-8-year-olds.
Right.
And they hadn't had the world, I guess, tell them what's possible and impossible yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's very similar to what Joel has told about on numerous occasions. I mean, he's done a lot of work with kids who were caught up in the foster care system, particularly older kids who were considered unadoptable. And he has taught all of them that he's worked with law of attraction principles. And he remarks on the same thing, how quickly they absorb it and they just go with it. It makes total sense to them. And, it blows his mind how quickly they pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to see that. And even now, these young kids, they're coming in, they're being born. They know this stuff. It's easy for them, in most cases. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting then. So, I mean, do you say, I kind of got the impression you actually imagine that you're holding the love in your hands. I mean, like it was an object.
Yeah, like during the meditation, I don't exactly remember how I did that, but that's pretty much how I share it to people is because it doesn't have to be held in your hands. It's just feeling that sensation, this feeling, this vibration of love, no matter how you feel it, whether you feel you're holding it in your hands or it's just glowing around your body or you just feel it in your heart, whatever it is, and you're just transferring it to whatever it is that's ailing you.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it's something that consumes your whole body, then you just want to feel that energy of love just kind of pulsing through your body. Flowing all over. For me, since it was the shoulder, I would just put it right there into the shoulder.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you're describing it that way because I have actually managed to heal a couple of minor things for myself. And I didn't actually use that approach. And I'm wondering if I combine what I do with what you do, I wonder what'll happen. I have a feeling it might actually work better and easier.
I bet you it would. What do you do?
Well, the first time I even tried to do this kind of thing was back in 2007 when I first watched The Secret. And, of course, they talk about various kinds of healings in there, including the guy who crashed the airplane. Like, whoa, he healed himself from that. That was pretty amazing. But I didn't have anything nearly that traumatic. I had a cyst on a finger, on my left pinky finger. And I didn't even know it was a cyst. I had no idea what it was. But at one point that year, I talked to a doctor. And she looked at it and she said, "Oh, that's a cyst," and explained to me that, cysts, they can occur. They're usually okay. They're usually benign. They can become cancerous, but, it's pretty rare for that to happen. But nevertheless, you should do something about it because they don't go away on their own. So you need to, it's in-office procedures. You could do it right there. Takes, just a few minutes and it's done. And, she was very reassuring about it, but I just didn't want to have any kind of surgery, even an in-office surgery. Something rubbed me the wrong way about it, so I kind of postponed it. That was in April of 2008, and by September, the cyst hadn't grown or anything, but it was still there, and it was like this constant annoying reminder. It didn't hurt or anything like that. It was always there, and it was like, oh, geez, why do I have to deal with this thing? I don't want to have to deal with this thing. Well. Right. I finally decided, I'd been learning about this law of attraction stuff. I'd watched The Secret about 500 million times at that point. And I was saying to myself, I wonder if I can actually use it to get rid of the cyst. So I think I made that decision in January, the following January. And so I spent all the time I could think of just, hitting it with laser bolts, mentally speaking, and all the different things. Go away, cyst. I want the cyst to be gone. All this other stuff, and the cyst didn't go anywhere. So I figured, okay, well, that doesn't work. What do you have to do to make this work? And I kind of stumbled around for a while. And then finally, something occurred to me. I said to myself, well, my right pinky knuckle is perfectly fine. And it looks very much like my left pinky knuckle, except for the cyst. I wonder what would happen if I were to stare at my right pinky knuckle and say, I love the way that pinky knuckle works. I'm going to imagine that my left pinky is exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And then I forgot about it for a couple of weeks. And then one day, a couple weeks later, I said, oh, I'll check. And I looked at my left pinky and the cyst was gone. I said, cool. How did I do that?
Well, it's funny because you said a couple of things. You said, I love the way this other pinky looks.
Yes.
So you were holding that feeling of loving how this one looks, like really, and then you were just making this conscious decision to transfer that to the other one.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And but very key is you said, and then you forgot about it.
Yes.
See, because the thing that gets in the way is when you keep looking at the thing and saying, oh, it's not gone yet. Oh, it's not gone yet.
Yeah. What is itis? It's still what is. It's still what is.
And that's what holds you back, because that's resistance.
It is resistance.
So that's pretty cool. So you basically did that anyway.
Well, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so you might just, in the future for anything, just consciously realize that it's that feeling of love that's actually doing the healing.
Well, interestingly enough, I also had a second opportunity, which I documented to some degree here on the podcast this past winter and spring, because this past winter, I was kneeling down to do something and felt a pop in both knees, actually. And from that point on, all of a sudden, I couldn't squat. I mean, there were times where I could barely walk. And it became evident to me after a while I had pulled one or more ligaments. I'm pretty sure I pulled one ligament in each knee. And I mean, I spent most of the winter just, on my butt, just keeping my weight off of the legs just to give it a chance to heal. And they really weren't healing. I mean, they were kind of getting a little bit better, but not a whole lot. And then come spring, well, that's when I love to get out and start doing my walking, because I've been cooped up all winter and I got to get out, so I go out and do my walking. And after a few days of this, like there was this one day where I went out to take my walk and I got about 200 yards and I could barely move. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, this is terrible. What's going on here? So add in the fact that I'm now in my 60s and I'm thinking, oh, great. Is this like me, my body falling apart? Just what I need, So I had all the wrong thoughts going on. And I said, okay, I'll just rest it for a while. And so I rested it. And it was really difficult because I want to get out in the spring. That's my time to start doing my nature walks and so forth. But I kept resting. And finally, I just couldn't take it anymore. So I figured, well, I'll try doing some bike riding, because bike riding is less stressful than walking. There's less stress on the knee and so forth. So I got my bike out and I tried to do some bike rides. And I was able to ride for a bit. But like around the third or fourth bike ride, I couldn't go more than a half a mile, and again, I'm in screaming agony again. In fact, that weekend, now this is also, Louise and I were kind of beating each other up here because that same weekend, she fell in the shower, hit her head, and so she had this big lump on the back of her head. So the two of us are laid up because I can barely walk and she can barely get out of bed.
Oh my God.
We're saying, we got to change this pattern here. This is not working at all. So anyway, it really got excruciating for me. I can't remember the exact sequence of events, but bottom line is the pain got really, really bad, and we finally realized I needed to get some ice on it because the tendons were inflamed, the ligaments were inflamed. So I did that, and that helped quite a bit. And I'm lying there in bed with ice packs on my knees, and glad that the pain is reduced, but saying to myself, I really should be able to use the law of attraction to rid myself of this. I mean, I got rid of a cyst. Why can't I heal some ligaments? That should be possible to do. Now, I hadn't talked to you yet. I hadn't gotten your idea of embracing the love, but nevertheless, I was thinking about what could I do. And I decided to do kind of a similar thing to what I'd done before with the cyst. I decided to think, well, because at that one particular point in time, my right knee was feeling pretty good. So I said, okay, that's the way I want my left knee to feel. And I started doing that routine.
Okay.
And I found it was actually rather difficult because when you're in the middle of chronic pain, it just really snaps your attention back to it. So I would be trying to focus on that right knee. My left knee is screaming at me, "I'm hurting, I'm hurting, I'm hurting." It was really hard to maintain focus. But I did take it as an opportunity to really practice my focus, to have kind of like a laser focus. And I did manage for brief periods of time to keep myself so focused on the knee that was feeling good that I for like split seconds or even a few seconds at a time, I wouldn't feel any pain at all in the knee. And then my attention would snap back to the knee, and bang, all of a sudden I'm feeling the pain again. And we're talking about pain that was pretty sharp. So it was going from no pain to sharp pain to no pain to sharp pain, which is pretty stressful when you're going back and forth like that. But I figured,
but pretty interesting how you could hold that no pain by focusing on it.
Oh yeah, that really was amazing to me. Well, anyway, long story short, I ended up continuing that process until I was able to pretty much eliminate the pain from my mind. And from that point on, my knee was a whole lot better, to the point where I could walk around easily. But the only thing that I could not do is get down into a deep, deep squat. I mean, I could get down like 3/4 of the way, but I couldn't get all the way down because it would hurt me pretty badly. And that's where I've been for the last few months. But I haven't been able to get down that last bit. So if I try to go into a deep, deep squat where my hams and my calves are pushing against each other, that hurts an awful lot. So I got almost all of it healed, but not everything. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm going to use Linda's approach, see if I can get rid of the rest of it.
And I'll give you something you can do, and we'll practice it right now.
Okay.
But first, I noticed that there is a caller. No raised hand or anything.
There is, yes. Let's invite them in and see if they have something to say. Somebody from area code 925. Who's calling in?
This is Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. Thank you for your podcast. I just heard about you on Julie Ryan yesterday, Julie Ryan's show.
Oh, great!
So
yes.
I was excited because I do study Abraham every day. I'm on a conference call that we play the Abraham clips. We've read all the Abraham books. I've been doing that for about almost, I think it's 8 years. And so it's very interesting that I happen to call in and hear what you're talking about, because I have a surgery that I may have to have on a gland in my neck. The doctor at Stanford, I'll see him in 2 weeks again. Today was the first day that the medication, he had me take 6 times my normal prednisone, and I could see that when I went down yesterday in the dosage, the neck got swollen again. So I just was feeling discouraged, thinking, oh no, I'm going to have surgery. So it's very inspiring to hear what you're sharing, because now, I mean, I have healed some things in the past, and I've done it 2 different ways. One was by deciding kind of what you said with the cyst, where I'm tired of treating this and all the efforts to put into this. I'm just going to use the law of attraction and trust that it's going to get better. And I completely forgot about it. And literally, it was 4 months later when I looked and realized that there was no sign of it, so much so that I checked the other foot, thinking, was the other foot, because it was completely gone. And then there was one where I was trying to move a tooth, where I had to have braces as an adult, and the doctor had spent 3 years trying to get the baby tooth gap. She had to pull a baby tooth, and there's a big gap, and she was trying to get it to close, and she said, I'm losing sleep over this. She said, I'm getting gray hair over this. Put a spring in my mouth. She was trying everything, and for 3 years it wouldn't budge. And they were going to have me do a bone graft surgery, and the surgeon said that she wasn't even going to show me the picture because it looked so bad. And I just thought, no, I do not want that surgery. And so I started sending it love instead of being in resistance. And I literally, driving home from the doctor appointment, I started saying things like, you can do it toothy, and silly things like that. And really just, talking to it positively, sending love. And literally within a couple of days, it started to move. And the doctor couldn't believe it when I called her. She said, she said, it's probably just the braces shifting. So come in and let me see. And she said, I can't believe it. And within 3 months, the whole gap was closed. And the surgeon ended up saying, I'm so impressed. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
So I have done that, but then with this particular issue, I haven't been able to. So that's why I'm so inspired to hear this, because it's going to help me to not give up hope, and believe that maybe I can heal this neck gland. And I also have yesterday I found out I have maybe a torn tendon in my ankle, where I'd had surgery 3 years ago. And so both things I believe I can, put my attention on either put my attention on in a positive way or take my attention off, in a negative way.
So you know what I would know what I would love to add to that? So you've already proven that you know how to heal yourself. So own that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is these other two things, if you could spend a little time maybe even journaling on it, or maybe you know it right now, what do you think they're trying to teach you?
That's the thing I'm not sure of, because I've been wondering about that for quite a while. What are they,
Well, you know what you can do? You can try like an automatic writing kind of exercise, like later on, just getting yourself into a nice kind of space and calling in your guides and say, all right, I'm just going to doodle on this paper. I'd like to receive any information you can help me to assist me in the healing of one or two conditions, and just see what flows. And if you're just writing down on this piece of paper, well, this is kind of ridiculous, but all right, I'll try it. And like whatever comes in your mind, oh, I'm hungry right now. Or you know what, maybe I want to paint these walls blue. Like whatever comes in your mind, you just write it down, because it opens up the flow. And you might hear exactly what it is, the little missing piece that you need to inspire you to know that you can let this go now. Because things come into our life, and sometimes we don't see it till like 5 years later, the purpose for this horrible thing that we're experiencing. So I like to try to help people to kind of see that now, because then you can release your neck from its obligation to teach you this lesson by having this gland here. So you're focusing on whatever it is it's trying to teach you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Well, like I said, it was when I called in, I thought this is unbelievable that this is the topic. When I just was literally experiencing this kind of disappointment today when I saw the gland get swollen up in one day and get worse. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really a miracle that you're talking about this. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
There are no coincidences, are there? None whatsoever.
No, it's really wonderful. I'm so happy to hear about this, and I am very grateful that you came on Julie Ryan's call and so I can learn about this. So.
Yeah, well, we're grateful that you decided to tune in. That's fabulous. And Julie's wonderful. Linda, we had Julie on Monday. Patty Efremo and I were interviewing her, and we just had a blast. I mean,
yeah, she's really great.
She is. She's terrific. I mean, she does this amazing healing thing, kind of similar to what you do. A little bit different. Her approach is a little bit different, but just a really fun conversation. So having one of our listeners join us is just icing on the cake. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, and I will put this into practice definitely. And I'm hoping I can let you know that there's progress being made on that. So,
yeah, please do. We love it when people follow up and tell us, "Hey, here's what happened when I tried to do what you suggested," because we've had some really great reports that way, and it's fun.
Well, if you're going to hang on and listen to the show anyway, maybe we'll keep your mic open for a minute. Because have you ever brought healing energy into your hand, either one of you guys?
I think I have actually.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you. We don't have video, but I'm going to teach you how to do this, and so you can. I'm going to see if you can feel this energy between your hands, because that's one way of pulling in this energy of love, because that's the energy that heals. So whenever you're channeling or, delivering, being that channel for healing energy, it's just that energy of love. So if I can have you, I'll tell you in a second how to do it. We're going to try and follow along, and it should be easy.
Okay.
You're going to hopefully you're going to feel this energy between your hands. And then, you want to put it into your neck. You want to put it into your knees or whatever it is. It's fine.
Yeah, the right ankle. Yeah.
For your right ankle, waltz knees. So this is what we're going to do. Now, there's two ways. One way I find it very easy is, the Mr. Miyagi clap from the Karate Kid?
Yes.
Big clap. Okay.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So I'm a karate girl. You're going to clap your hands nice and hard. Now, after you clap, you're going to just pull your hands apart, but only like 1/4 of an inch apart. Like you're not going to have your hands touching each other like you did in the big clap. And then you're going to feel some tingling from the clap itself, but you're also going to feel this energy start to come into your hands. So I'll guide you along as we do it. But right now, we're all going to, the three of us and everyone at whoever's listening, whenever they're listening, you're going to do a nice, strong clap and then hold your hands right in front of each other about 1/4 of an inch, like you're making a sandwich of this little 1/4 of an inch of air. Okay, so you ready? Do a nice big clap.
Okay.
Okay. And now, without your hands touching, but very close, I want you to kind of very gently push together and apart. Or maybe even making a circular motion with both hands, like you're rolling a ball between your hands. Can you feel the energy in your hands?
I'm feeling. I was feeling it before because I just do what you just described with the moving the hands in a circular motion. That for me gives me the feeling.
Okay, and it could feel like repelling magnets. Like this cushion, almost like a cushion of air, and you can kind of squeeze it and pull it apart. I forgot our caller's name.
Susie.
Susie, can you feel anything?
I feel a little bit. I know I felt that in the past. I think my hand's stinging because I hit it so hard.
Okay, that's okay.
I have the same thing, Susie. Actually, I had more energy in my hand before I clapped than afterwards, so I understand what you mean.
All right, but that's okay. That clap, that little bit, that usually just wakes up the chakras in your hands. You're going to just allow, that'll dissipate. And just see if you can kind of pull your hands apart like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then squeeze them back together and see if you feel like a cushion of air between your hands. And so, Walt, if you already have that energy, you can try and stretch it out like stretching taffy, stretching it out a little wider. See how much if you go too far, you might lose it and you have to pull them back together again.
Right. Yeah. I've done that part before too.
So you're going to kind of feel it. And then after a while, you kind of pack it like a little snowball.
Yeah.
And so you're making this ball of energy. It's a chi ball, right? Little ball of energy. And then you can take that energy, because that truly is pulling healing energy into your hands, and then you put it wherever you need to. Okay, now there's another way to do it. Let me see if I can describe this since we don't have video right now. But if you had your palms touch, you know how you make the heart hands? Everybody likes to do that, right? Fingertips together, palms touching, and it forms an opening like a heart.
Yeah.
Okay. So with your fingernails touching each other, I want you to rub your fingers back and forth. It's like you're rubbing your fingertips back and forth.
Okay.
This is another way to open up those chakras in your hands. And then you pull them apart and hold them that little bit close together, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch.
No. Ooh, that is stronger.
You feel it?
Yeah, it's even stronger than it was before.
How about you, Susie?
I'm wondering what's wrong with me today, because I have felt that before, that kind of energy, and for some reason I'm not feeling it. So I'm not sure what to do.
You know what I'm going to tell you? Don't even try. Just pretend you have it.
Okay, because I do remember the feeling from before, yeah. So
yeah, pretend you have it, right?
Okay.
And even if you don't feel it right now, because maybe it feels, I don't know, pressured in some way, you can try this again later, because you'll feel that energy. And you know that feeling that you've had it before, so you can always bring it back in again. And then work with that energy, Maybe if you even did a visual in your mind that you're just pulling into your hands this beam of light from the heavens, just filling your hands up with this glowing love energy. And then even if you don't feel it, using the visualization, kind of pretending that it's there, and then putting it wherever you need to put it, will do the trick, because, the energy is going to flow through the intention. And it makes it just kind of a little bit more fun way to do. And it's kind of like popping a pill, right? But you're not. You're just taking this energy. I'm going to stick it on my neck right now. And then maybe I'll do it every hour. Like however you want to do it. The message I get all the time is there's no right way. Find your own way.
It's similar to something that a friend of Louise's and mine showed us. Actually, Anne-Marie Kanata McEwen, who does the Sunday podcast with me, it's her husband, Mike, who's a Reiki master. And he basically showed us something that's a little bit different in terms of how we build that energy. But again, it was the same thing where you got the hands close together and you're feeling with and playing with the energy once you've gone through the first few steps, few steps, I should say. So again, it's kind of like you're saying, it almost doesn't matter how you get there, I guess, as long as you get there and you're feeling that energy. Because once you've got it, then you can play with it and do things with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, let us know how that works out, Susie, okay?
Yes, I will. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for the call. Take care.
You too. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, all right.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Now, I'm thinking about that energy, and like, is there a guideline? Like, does it really matter how often you try to do that? You were talking about like doing it once an hour. Is it something that I should be doing?
Whatever you want to do, whatever you make up for yourself.
So there's not like a rule or anything like that.
No. I even like to kind of program myself that it's going on in the background. It's going on in the background of my mind,
So you have an ongoing thing that's kind of going on automatically.
Yeah, like it's being fed. So I'll set that up for myself energetically. Like there's a constant flow of love flowing to blah blah whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be an emotional problem. It could be anything going on. Like I like to flow energy to my clients all the time to support them. What they're doing.
That's like love. That's like part of what you do with your practice. Like you're not just working with the clients, but you're also like manipulating energy for them.
No, I'm just sending love to them.
Just sending love. Oh, okay. Yeah. I got it.
Right. So for whatever it is, that's for their highest good, because it's not up to me to know. Divine knows what's needed. Anytime I'm doing a healing session, it's always, and it's funny because I did a couple today where even on my way driving in, I asked, okay, what do I need to know about this person that's coming in right now? And I got this message. I can't share it now, but it kind of pulled me, I'm like, whoa, okay. And I didn't know that I was even going to share it with her, but it turned out that that's exactly what she needed to work on.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't even know why I'm telling you that. What were we talking about?
Well, we're talking about energy and holding people in a high place.
Right. I'll connect to them, see what's needed, and then I'll just flow them, whatever it is that's for their highest good. My intention is that it's just going to be sent to them.
Which is very consistent with what Abraham teaches us, right? Because they talk about how if you want to help somebody else, the best thing to do is kind of like hold them in your highest place that you can hold them in your mind, and just give them, in that sense, as much love as you can give them. And if they're at all receptive to it, they are going to receive it. They're going to receive it and be able to use it to amplify what they're doing.
Yeah, and there's no wasted love, because if someone for some reason can't take it in, it'll just bounce to someone else who can.
It bounces around? Oh, I hadn't heard that one. That's good.
It's like, I don't know, maybe that's something they teach a lot in the Reiki courses. I don't remember exactly where I might have picked that up, or I don't even know how that came to me. But definitely, if somebody's closed off to it for some reason, they won't allow themselves to accept it. It's just going to go where it's needed. There's no wasted love. Love is what everything is made up of. Some things need a little bit more, and so we try to flow it. We all need more love.
Well, it makes sense. Because one of the themes that very often comes out in the Abraham workshops and in the books and so forth is how the universe and the law of attraction works through the path of least resistance. And if you think about that, the usual metaphor is the metaphor of the river or the lake or some flowing body of water, and the water is working its way around the rocks and the twigs in the stream and all that kind of thing. Right. Well, energy would certainly fit that kind of fluid kind of situation. It's going to work its way around everything. So it actually kind of makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, are there any situations where energy can't get in? I guess it's any place where we're the ones putting up resistance, because there aren't any other natural resistances, are there? I don't think there are.
No, I think it's just, whatever, maybe on a soul level, well, you can't really get into, there's no way to know. But there could be a program running or some purpose to whatever this program is running that wouldn't allow it at that time, because maybe there's some lesson to learn still about receiving love. I don't know. I wouldn't even pretend to know. I would, if someone has trouble. I have people like that. They have trouble loving themselves even. So I can help them release programs that prevent them from receiving love and holding love for themselves. But when you don't know, and for some reason it's not going to go to that person and to that, because I send love all the time. I send love to everyone I walk past. They either take it or they don't. I don't know, but I know that it's just going to bounce to somebody else, even if it goes to a bird or, who knows, whatever needs love, a tree.
That's quite a practice, though. Not just for the people around you, but for you, because that, in order to do that, that means you're putting yourself into a really, what Abraham calls a high flying place all the time. That's got to have tremendous impact.
Well, yeah, because the outer reflects the inner, right? So that I totally get this thing with love. So I don't do it constantly, because sometimes I forget too. I get stuck in my own stuff, but then I get this reminder, like, okay, what's missing here? All right, I need to send myself a little more love and then get back into that flow of sending it out.
Interesting thing you just said there, because we forget about the fact that in order to love somebody else, we really have to love ourselves first. You can't really help somebody else until you're getting yourself into a good place. And that self-love thing can actually trip people up. I was seeing a couple of conversations on Facebook in a law of attraction group on that exact subject. It's not necessary to get into what their particular issues were, but the point is, in both cases that I'm thinking of that I saw today, both people were indirectly expressing the fact that they really don't show a whole lot of love for themselves. So that raises the question. I mean, you're talking a lot here about using energy and sharing love and so forth. How do you? What's your approach to somebody who says, "How do I learn to love myself better?"
Well, what I do is I uncover the beliefs and the programs that are blocking them. So I'll do some digging, and I'll do muscle testing, and I'll uncover both intuitively and logically what might be standing in their way. You can start very basically by asking, well, when's the first time you were aware that you didn't love yourself? Or when first time you ever felt unloved, and it brings up experience. And if you can clear the energy around those experiences, then it frees them up to be able to receive love for themselves. Make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Sure. You're basically removing resistances, and the resistances are human imposed anyway. So you're basically helping the people to remove the barriers they put in their own way. And in doing so, allowing them to, or helping them to allow the flow to open up and to expand and get bigger and be a bigger part of their life, so to speak.
In fact, one of the people I was coaching with and healing with today, I guess the same thing for me. I wrap it all together. That I had this message come in before I met her. Mm-hmm. As we were in the session and I started hitting on these things, at first she's like, no, I don't know that really ever, because I finally shared with her the message that I got because of some of the things she was saying. And then once she realized, then she like, it's almost like it took her back a section. It's like, oh my God. And then she started remembering all these things that happened to her that she kind of brushed under the rug and didn't realize are still having an effect on her.
Which is easy to do.
Yeah. So they started coming up and she's like, oh my God, I never told anyone this ever. And it's accompanied with a lot of tears because, there's a relief. The tears are a release.
Sure.
When you actually look at something and you're like, wow, that actually, that happened. Yeah, that happened. Oh boy, I was hiding that one. So I was able to help her to release energy to those experiences, which really made her a lot lighter and brighter.
That's really great.
Yeah.
So this approach that you take, then it's pretty universal because I mean it sounds like you use this energy technique. I don't know what to call it. The love sharing technique, the energy technique. I don't know what you call it, but you seem to use it in all cases. It's not a special case thing, is it? No,
because I mean every modality I've ever been trained in, it's all basically a different way of doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. We're really just, as a healer, you're just, even as a coach, when you're helping people, you're just bringing love. You just, you want to help them, right? Where does that come from? It comes from this love within you that wants to help lift people up. Mm-hmm. And so that they can, love their life. That's why my website's lovemylife.coach, because, we want to love our lives, right?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, sometimes I wonder about some people, but I think in general, most people do. I think that's probably the prime motivator for being alive. The
people who can't show it are the ones who need it the most, who are here to learn a big lesson.
I guess so, yeah. Some people have particularly big lessons to learn.
Well, but some people also have programs running in the back of their mind that compel them or make them have to punish themselves or have to suffer. I mean, these are things that we carry around. That when we can clear them, it allows for the love to come in. So yeah, it's just about clearing all this. I kind of like to look at it like peeling an onion. You're just peeling away all these layers that have been. See, when you don't work on your energy field, that's when the disease comes into your body. It's dis-ease. Mm-hmm. It starts in the outer spaces, like when you can catch it when it's out there. That's why, to me, energy healing is just like a tune-up. It's like something you should always do, not when you all of a sudden have this physical thing, because by the time the thing comes into your body as a physical manifestation, it's much bigger than if you would have caught it when it was out there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just within maybe the emotional layers or Yeah.
Okay.
Did I say that in a simple enough way?
No, that's fine. That's good.
Okay.
I was thinking back actually to, I guess it was what, 2, 3 weeks ago when
Hmm.
you gave me the free session of your service, so I could, we could talk about it on the podcast. It was really
Yeah.
fascinating to go through it. As you're describing here, I'm thinking back to that episode, to that session that we did, and you were clearing some things. I don't even remember exactly what you were clearing, but we found some things, and you were clearing them, and you were clearing them. I remember you were doing three things. You were saying you're clearing it in my current life, clearing it in a past life, and I don't remember what the third one was. But the gist of it was there are a lot of different ways that these resistances can be there. And I guess that's why you describe them as a program that can be running. It almost
Yeah.
made it sound like, they could have been there before I was born, which was
Oh, yeah.
a little
From other
alarming,
lifetimes.
actually.
Well, I mean, if all, we'll get really deep. If all time exists at the same time, and if you've had many different lifetimes, they're all happening at the same time, right? So that's why you can jump through time. Like I've had that experience, and I think I've shared that with you, where I was like somewhere else for a second and then back here again. Um, so this stuff is all running. So we're here right now. We're consciously aware of this lifetime. We can tap into and clear things that have happened at another time.
Hmm.
So what you were referring to is part of the work I do, which is theta healing technique with clearing beliefs. There are 4 different belief levels. That's the core, which is this life here and now, the history, which is all time, the ancestral, which comes in through your DNA, and then the soul level.
Wow.
So that's what you were referring to there.
So it was 4, not 3. But okay,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. I remember that, and it just struck me that, I mean, I don't even remember what. Oh, there was one thing that we kind of unearthed, that apparently I had some sort of fear that if I accumulated a bunch of money, I'd be killed for it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and that was one of the things that you went through, those 4 different, I don't know,
Yeah.
were they places, modalities, I don't know what to call them, but you were basically freeing up all of those. And I thought,
Right.
that's really wild. That's just, how could all that be? I didn't even know it was going on. And now you're clearing it. And I didn't even know what to think about it. It was just, wow.
Yeah. And that's one of those ones that's, kind of common, because if you were killed all the time, you can make this vow or this oath, like, listen, money is bad for me anyway, because I'm killed every time I have this happen.
Yeah, it certainly would be resistance. I can tell you that. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. So all the great ideas you have, you might just keep bumping up against the wall. And you're like, why the heck does this was a great idea? Why didn't this take off? Well, maybe on a soul level, you're like, listen, buddy, you chose not to do that because you don't, you think you're going to be killed. So, you're trying to protect yourself, right?
I guess, yeah.
And the ego is trying to protect you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's holding all these programs, and a lot of it is made up in a child's mind too. Like, we don't really understand the circumstances around us, but we still form opinions.
True.
Or, we might decide that, so if you had like a parent with blonde hair and blue eyes that was always mean to you or something, that all people with blonde hair, blue eyes are evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know you're running it, but it's like this great guy comes along or a woman and you're like, you didn't even know why, but you're like, no, I'm sorry. Can't go there. Only because of maybe the way they appear. There's nothing rational, nothing logical, rational about it. It's just some kind of a connection, some kind of decision that might have been made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying not even from other lifetimes, but from this time when you didn't quite understand the whole picture, but formed an opinion. Actually, I remember I had one that was that rich people are mean, not generous, and don't care about people.
Okay.
Because I remember being, and this one came up a lot, and I had to go to being an 8-year-old many different times. I guess that year I formed a lot of things around money. Because I was on the beach and this woman thought I was sleeping with in the sun. She was, I don't want to give too much. She was somehow related to the family, and she was very wealthy. Mm-hmm. And I heard her complaining about having to feed all these kids because it was like 2 big families. You got like 18 cousins on this side and 18 cousins on that side. We're all at the beach together.
Yeah, big family.
And my mom, who didn't have a lot of money, would feed these kids no matter what. She'd find a way. And now here is this woman who's got this mansion of a home and all this and she had problem with having to feed all these kids.
Yeah.
Now, however she meant it, I don't know her intentions. Maybe she didn't think she had enough in the house and had to go shopping. But in my 8-year-old mind, it was like, oh, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
So, I had to clear a lot of stuff around that and then a lot of people feed that crap to you. Rich people are,
we pick up stuff like that all the time. I mean, Cindy
unhappy.
Chavez. Cindy
Right.
Chavez and I have been doing a series like the last few weeks where we've been exploring the lives of wealthy people just for the purpose of kind of countering all of the kind of crazy non-truth truisms that we have about rich people. Like, oh, rich people are mean. They acquire their wealth through cheating and through taking it away from others and all these really negative things wrapped up in it. And so that's why we started doing a series of people like Joe Rowling and Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and we went through a bunch of people like that. We're still doing it just so we can have the experience of talking about people who did have a lot of money, but were really great people and really contributed well to the world, just to kind of counter all that nonsense.
Right, because you don't hear about them because that doesn't give you a lot of play on the media,
Of course, you can't sell advertising on that.
But you know what it gets back to?
What's that?
Love.
Yeah,
love.
That's true.
You gotta. If you want money, you have to love money. I think we talked about this a little last week, maybe, right?
Yeah.
How it came up again. It's just energy of love. It heals everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It really does. By the way, also, you were talking about how you sometimes jump to like a different lifetime or something like that. And it reminded me of something when Julie Ryan, Susie is a Julie Ryan follower, and that's how she found out about our podcast today. But Julie was on this past Monday, and during that conversation, one of the things Julie told us, I asked her, like, what was one of the most interesting things that ever happened when you were trying to help somebody? And she told a story about how she had helped this guy who I believe was an engineer, and kind of went back through, I don't remember exactly how she does it, but she basically goes back to his past lives or other lives or so forth, and found herself on a different planet.
Yeah.
And it was a planet that she described as being somewhere between Star Wars and the Jetsons. Uh-huh. and apparently he ran the power grid at this particular planet at some point in time. And I'm thinking, wow, that's so wild, it's crazy. But same kind of thing as what you're describing, really.
You know what? Since we're talking that way, I'll share another thing.
Okay.
A while back, I was doing something. It was before I got into all the stuff I'm into now, but I was tracking down an experience because I had something going on in my life, some kind of emotional thing, and so like this memory would come into my mind, and then the person that's working with me can kind of read when I'm having a bit of information coming into me, right? But I didn't want them to know what I was seeing because I thought it was like too out there. I'm like, I don't know what this is. This is like my mind's making up these stories. But the person was, skilled enough to know, like, what are you seeing? What are you thinking? What are you seeing right now? Just tell me. It's no big deal. Just tell me. So I said, all right, I'm on a spaceship. And I'm telling you, this was very real to me. Only like now I know like how I felt. It was like I was really there. I'm like, I'm on this spaceship and there's like this big open window and there's these two like spacecraft thingies outside the window. And me and this other kid, which doesn't look like a human, are fighting about who gets to go next. Right? But wait, it gets better.
It gets better. Okay. But wait, there's more.
I was living in California at the time. So I just thought that was kind of weird, right? I'm like, all right, whatever that is. I could feel there was emotion attached to it. Like it felt real, this memory, not just like a story that was, I could feel like I was a part of it, like it was real, but I didn't understand it. And then the next day I'm on the freeway driving. I used to work at Knott's Berry Farm, if anybody knows that place, doing graphic arts there. Uh-huh. And I'm driving and all of a sudden it hit me. That other being was my older brother in this lifetime.
Really?
I'm telling you, I was bawling. I was like, oh my God, this is, we do come back. We do have this people that we're always with and we come back with again. Only, in that experience, we were not of this planet.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And you were arguing over which space liner to get on.
Yeah, we were, who's going to get to go on that thing next.
Right. Yeah. That
And
is
it was
crazy.
very typical of what my brother and I might have done in this lifetime.
Oh, really? So the old habits died hard. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's like, no, I want to go. So,
Well, that's a
yeah.
fairly common story, I guess, in many families, though, because as I think about it, I have a brother and a sister, and my sister is 1 year younger, my brother is 4 years younger, and yeah, there were numbers of opportunities where it was always a question of who gets to go first.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So
But the
it's quite
thing is,
common.
it just showed me that I knew him from this story, whatever the story was.
Mm,
Like I didn't have the understanding I have now to know it was just another. I just tapped into a memory or another time
yeah.
at that moment. Um, yeah.
It's one of those things, too. I ask myself, what do I do with that information? And I'm not sure what to do with it. I guess it's confirmation of some of the stuff that we're taught by our teachers, but I'm not sure what else to do with it.
For me, it's just fun. It just kind of makes it real that, well, that must have come from somewhere. I don't think I just chose to make that up. So maybe something does actually exist somewhere else. Like
Hmm.
maybe this is real, that everything's an illusion and we can, close our eyes and being in another place. Really. I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be nice to pop around to own that ability that we have to be able to be, be, be wherever we want to be.
Well, they say that we're all capable of doing a variety of things. We're all capable of having psychic abilities. We're all capable of doing all the various kinds of processes that people like you do or Julie does or that a psychic medium does or whatever else. That we all have these abilities and capabilities. It's just that for various reasons we have resistances in place, and so we convince ourselves that we can't use them. And
Yeah.
in your particular case, you were able to get through to like this alternate lifetime or past life or whatever it was because you didn't have there was enough resistance out of the way that you could get there. That's what I'm trying to say. You had you
Yeah,
had
like
you had
I
enough
wasn't even
resistance to
aware
move.
I wasn't even aware of resistance because I didn't know what the hell was happening back then.
Yeah. Well, that's just
Yeah,
it. The way we would experience something like that would be a little disorienting. Like, whoa,
yeah,
what just happened?
yeah.
But you were at least that. I guess my point is you had enough resistance gone that when it did happen, well, first of all, it could happen, so you could experience it,
Right.
and second of all, it wouldn't freak you out.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I actually welcomed it. Once I felt the realness of it, I'm like, wow, okay. Thank you for that.
Now, have you had multiple experiences like that where you found yourself in different places or different lifetimes, or is it just a
Well,
limited set so far, or what's it
I
been for
mean,
you?
now it's easy to have that, to see that, like going through like a past life regression or a meditation of some sort.
Hmm.
But now and then I'll just have a flash of being somewhere else for a second or two, and I'm just like, wow, I don't know for sure what that was, but I know I was definitely not here for a second.
Hmm.
Um, and it, and I don't even think it's weird because I kind of I kind of really believe and trust that we have this ability to jump from place to place. We just haven't figured out how to do it because
Yeah, but that's my point. I mean,
it's
because
washed with us.
well, sure, yeah, but my point is, it doesn't phase you.
No.
That kind of experience would phase most people, and you've gotten to the point now where maybe because it's happened so many times, I don't know, but for whatever reason, you're comfortable when it happens. It's like, oh, okay, that's another one.
And
Chalk
it
that one on the
doesn't really,
list.
because it doesn't even really have to have much of an effect unless it really stirs something up that needs to be cleared. That's a different story.
Mm.
But all of that other experience, it doesn't really have to play into what's happening right here, right now, at this particular moment in my now reality.
Well, that was actually the next question I was going to ask because we're a law of attraction show, so of course we always tend to tie back to that. I'm wondering if you find yourself experiencing these things, these flashback kind of
Mhm.
experiences, and you're giving any thought to them, aren't well, first of all, aren't you attracting more of them? And second of all, what does that mean to say that you're attracting by being in another space and time for a moment? I'm not sure what that means.
I think for me that when that happened, it's definitely I'm kind of jumping into what I feel is actually when I've had it now is in my near future, not like another time space. When it's happened to me now when I'm aware of it, like not in a meditation, going to a past life or something,
Hmm.
but when I'm here in the now, like I'm talking to you right now, but I might have a flash of something. It usually feels like a flash of the things I'm creating. where I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, I take it as, okay, I'm on the right path.
So it does tie in then. I mean, this is actually part of your creation experience.
Yeah, I guess so.
It is, clearly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be drawing the associations like that. Because that's what I would have thought. I would have thought you'd have the experience and there's no association. But even as I say that doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense. Why would you have the experience,
I know. You know what?
That's crazy.
The weirder it gets, the weirder it gets.
Yes.
I don't even care anymore. Like, some people are afraid to share these experiences that they have because they think that people are going to think they're crazy and want to lock them up.
Well, people already know that I'm crazy, so I figure I'm safe at this point, right?
And I think I've cleared a lot of that stuff because, I mean, a lot of healers have to clear like past stuff that would keep you from wanting to shine your light, because, we've been killed or, deemed as witches or something evil because we had this sight, and in some cases we may have used it in a way that wasn't to the benefit of others, that I know I've seen something where I took advantage of people with these abilities. So like that would make me not want to have them come out in this lifetime because I don't want to do that. So I've cleared a lot of stuff, to be able to now open up more and more and be comfortable with the stuff that comes.
Apparently. Yeah. You become quite the master at clearing stuff. No wonder you're able to help other people do the same thing so well.
I mean, when I tell you these words right now, it even surprises me because a couple of years ago, I would have thought I was crazy.
Oh, I'll tell you, I just had a conversation with my sister because my sister and I were both trying to influence Hurricane Florence. We wanted to reduce its impact and try to make it go away if we could. We got it down to a Category 1 before it hit landfall, so we figured that was good. But she and I were talking about this, and she's been into all this spiritual stuff for a lot longer than I have. And I said to her, first of all, I had 2 points for her. The first point was, here's an idea of what we can do about the hurricane. She said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. And then the second point was, can you imagine, PJ, if I had been talking about this kind of thing, if I had been talking this way 20 years ago, what would your reaction have been? And she said, I would have been flabbergasted because this was completely not the way I talked 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So it shows how we grow, and growth is a good thing. We pick up stuff, we learn stuff, we adopt stuff.
And you know what? I want to add this one thing, because sometimes I'll think to myself, what if all this stuff that I think is real is really a bunch of crap? and so I think to myself, well, you know what? There's a lot of stuff other people believe that I wouldn't want to live believing that stuff. I'd much rather believe the stuff I believe. We create our own reality, right?
Right, yeah.
So I'm comfortable with that. It's like, hey, people might think I'm a little crazy, but it works for me.
Yeah. Well, I think other people are crazy too, so we're even, Hey, I want to take a moment before we run out of time here to get our two main promotional messages out there. The first one being, if you are not yet a subscriber, please do become one. This may be the first step. Maybe you're like Susie. Maybe this is the first episode that you're listening. And, when you become a subscriber, you get to have all of our episodes coming right to your smartphone or tablet or whatever device you're listening with. So just take a moment. The instructions on how to do it, if you aren't already a subscriber, are on our homepage of our website at loatoday.net. And it's really simple to do. It takes just a moment. You can also do it like on an iPhone. You can just do a search through the podcast software. Just do a search there for LOA Today, and we pop right up, click the subscribe button. Same thing on an Android, except you also have to go through the step of installing some sort of a podcast app, because most often these days it doesn't come with that. Although, from what I hear, that's coming pretty soon. It's going to be pretty much default that the Google podcast app is going to be involved in Android installations going down in the future. But for the moment, you often have to do the installation yourself. So just take a moment and subscribe and join the crew. And for those who are already subscribers, please keep putting out there in social media that you've been listening to loatoday.net, because the word is getting out. Our numbers are increasing, and we're really excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Linda, once again, an amazing session. This is almost as good as when we did the actual private session together. So thank you very much. And before we leave you, how can somebody reach out to you in case they want a little personal coaching and assistance?
You can go to my website, lovemylife.coach, or find me on YouTube, Linda Armstrong. You can just search Linda Armstrong, Energy Healer, Awakening Coach. You'll find me, and you can always reach me through those two platform.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk to you again next week. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And we hope that you'll join us next time as well here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.